Hit that like and subscribe, and we got some more juicy news here.
And Snoop was able to go and bring it back to us. We want to create a different trajectory for DR Media, Death Row Media. We want to be able to be a supporter to all this young talent that's out there, to use our history, what we have learned over the years, so that these young people get the benefit of our missteps.
So let's take our viewers back a bit so they really understand from where you came and what your journey has been about. You came from the Low Bottoms, 46 in South Central.
This East 46th Street.
East 46th, forgive me, there's a difference.
There's a difference.
Raised by a single mom. She had to work several jobs just to make ends meet. Couldn't watch over you, not because she didn't care, but because she had to put food on the table.
Yeah, my mother was a single parent. She worked hard, 20 hours a day, and she always taught us to be responsible and to keep our word. So even though we grew up in the urban community and we in a poverty line, behind the poverty line, we had everything we needed, you know.
You said that, all the lawns were manicured. It was a red zone, a ghetto considered, but that families took care of their properties. They cared about their kids. There was just a lot of poverty.
In spite of being red zoned. See, that's why this thing about political leaders is important.
And archetyping throwaway neighborhoods like
exactly.
that.
And so, which prevents organizations from coming into the community for insurance purposes.
Investing in the community.
Exactly. But in spite of that, people still took care of their businesses and their homes.
Your father left. He had 3 families, I understand, and he left when you were 5. How did that impact you?
Abandonment always impacts you. You know, you always wanted it to have something to do with you or your brother, but at the same time, my father did teach me things about business.
You were taking piano lessons by Mrs. Payne, your next door neighbor, and you played trombone and drums in school. So that's where you had a real passion for music?
Once you get connected to it at an early age, then we used to have musical programs in all the schools. I think they took them away years later. When you're growing up in those kind of communities and you're going to school and you're getting educated about other people but not yourselves, about what your people have created and done, so you feel excluded from the world. And so I think that's why we have a high dropout rate. I know what those problems can cause, because people start to feel like, well, if you're not going to speak to me, then I shouldn't be there. And that hurts you in the long run.
Then things changed because a very cheap brown form of cocaine came into the inner cities, and you said it came in and swept in like a typhoon, and it was a poison and an evil that really wreaked havoc in the inner cities. How did you get swept up into it?
Let's just talk about the progression of it. Cocaine was really too expensive for our community. They actually had a Senate committee about this. They talked about that if this ever hit the shores of America, it would destroy it. And so that when it came, it did exactly what they believed it would do. And a lot of people in power made a lot of money off of this white powder. The powers that be brought cocaine into the community.
Who are the powers that be?
When you start talking about tons and tons of dope being shipped into communities, that doesn't just happen. It has to be sanctioned. It's a different form of racism. Drugs can be considered a poisonous form of genocide that is allowed to thrive in a particular community, and that it destroys that community in whole and in part. And nobody has ever really stopped and says, okay, what are we going to do about this? They just let it happen.
You initially, at 19 years old, see this wave of drugs coming in. You go, oh, I could make some serious cash here.
Yeah.
Is that what roped you in?
Yeah, it's just like, just as well as you can be addicted to using drugs.
Because you never used.
No, you can be addicted to selling drugs. And what you're addicted to is the money and the power that it allows you to have, in spite of the damage that it's doing, until your mind catches up with this desire to have what you never had.
The cars and all the fancy clothes.
Yeah, once you get past that, you're like, okay, how many cars can you have? How many houses can you have?
With both the infamous Crips and the Bloods, working with the Colombia drug cartels, oversaw a distribution network that extended from Florida, Iowa, Illinois, New York, and Texas, raking in reportedly more than $2 million a day. Is that even close to accurate?
More likely than not. Yes, being honest with you.
And you were called the Godfather then for a reason. You were running an enterprise.
I would never glorify that life because of all the damage. Remember, I was in jail for 32 years, so I saw what that damage looked like, even behind walls.
trying to do that at the height of running your drug operation, weren't you? You're investing it in salons in Beverly Hills or limousine companies or real estate.
Real estate. People would come to me and had businesses that I felt that should have an opportunity to thrive.
You wanted to reinvest in your community.
Right. Because nobody else was. And unfortunately, that was the only means that I was aware of at the time. Young mind, naive.
You did some pretty prolific things while you're trying to, I guess, extricate yourself from the drug trade. Investing not just in more legitimate businesses, legal businesses, but also in the arts. You produced a play called Stepping Into Tomorrow. It featured the daughters of Martin Luther King and Malcolm X.
Right. Eric Funny and Sidney Poitier.
You were making strides out and making your mark in the world of entertainment where you wanted to be, leaving the drug world behind. Then you became, I love the headline here, the first African-American former gang member kingpin to produce a Broadway show on the Great White Way.
They call me Gang.
Instead of kingpin. Yeah. With then aspiring actor named Denzel Washington. The play was called Checkmates. And it would have been an absolutely glorious premiere on Broadway, the first, black producer on the Great White Way. But what happened? Your past caught up with you.
It's called karma.
It's called karma. Michael was convicted of attempted murder and later drug trafficking. While he accepted the drug trafficking charges, it's the attempted murder charges he says he is innocent of. So let's talk about that. You were imprisoned not for drugs initially, but for attempted murder.
Right.
And you're sentenced to
25 plus 3.
28 years.
Right.
For a crime you say you didn't do, they later recanted.
Right.
How did you deal with the rage, the injustice of that?
You have to have a connection with God.
Did you always have that? Or did you develop that in prison?
I was raised around it. I was raised in the church. But it's the connection between you and the Creator that changes it for you. What you found in those moments, in those quiet moments, was that God can hear you and that this wasn't over for you. And that you had to really reflect on the life that you have been given, because we all are miracles, every last one of us. Just to be created, that's a miracle. And once I said that out loud and felt confident about that, God just kept showing me more and opening it up.
You had a very strong internal life behind bars all those years that allowed you to live free inside.
Yeah, that's it. So I was free inside.